Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, whether it be news, politics, current events, anything that I think that is going on that I just think needs another opinion, hopefully with a level of logic, reason, and sanity that we are just missing in so much of today's commentary. I hope that you will like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, share it with others, and help me to grow this channel. Also, be sure to head on over to Rumble and find me there under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene sat down with 60 Minutes to do an interview, and there is just this really brief, like 10-second clip that has been circulating, sending the left into an absolute frenzy. But of course, we know that the bar is not set very high when it comes to sending the left into a frenzy. It really takes nothing at all. But just this 10-second clip that seems to have caught a lot of people's attention. But before I address that one in particular, because I think most of you probably know which one I'm referring to, there was another one, and I'm not sure if it was from the same interview, from the same episode. I don't know if that's what you call it, but the same episode of 60 Minutes, or if it was from another interview. But it was where Marjorie Taylor Greene is sitting down and she's talking to Leslie Stahl, and Leslie starts telling her or reading off all of these horrible names that people online have called her, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is just sitting there like, okay.
Easy, Q clown, Looney Tune, unhinged, moron, pretty ugly stuff.
Looks like the average troll in my Twitter feed, so I don't really care.
You're used to it.
So I don't let name calling bother me or offend me. I just don't.
So I just thought that was really, really bizarre. Like, what was the point of that? But note to any of my leftist friends that happen to come across this video, this is how you handle it when people say things that you don't like. You don't have to scream. You don't have to yell. It is their right to say stupid things that might hurt your feelings. It is also your right to sit there and act like an adult and not let it bother you, because ultimately it doesn't matter what people say. And then I saw a clip from The Daily Show where they took it a step further. They expanded on it. They did kind of their own version of the Babylon Bee, I guess, but it just came across as really petty. But let's have a look at that real quick.
Unhinged, moron.
I've got a few more. Osama bin Karen, a dipstick, a dingbat, a dolt, a dullard, a dimwit, a doofus, a dummy, Nazi wine mom, Nazi cave woman, just Nazi.
I don't really care.
Can I speak to the manager Barbie, meth Barbie, Nazi Barbie, again, just Nazi. Oh, sorry. Okay. Low IQ-anon.
So again, I don't know what the point to all of that was, but it's interesting that this is the side of the aisle that really these people get offended by everything. If you look at a liberal woman who very clearly looks to be a woman, and call that person a woman and call them a she or a her, and that's not what they want to be called, then they want to ruin your life forever. Then that is the most offensive thing that you could possibly say to them. But yet they are allowed to sit down and hurl all of these names and insults at somebody just because they're a conservative, and that's not supposed to be offensive. Make it make sense. But let's get into the real clip that I wanted to address today. So the main piece of this conversation that really caught people's attention, that really went viral, is this portion of the conversation where Leslie is questioning Marjorie Taylor Greene about calling the Democrats the party of pedophiles, and Leslie's reaction just says it all.
And things she says that are over the top, like, the Democrats are a party of pedophiles.
I would definitely say so. They support grooming children.
They are not pedophiles. Why would you say that?
Democrats support, even Joe Biden, the president himself, supports children being sexualized and having transgender surgeries. Sexualizing children is what pedophiles do to children.
Wow. Okay.
What kind of a reaction is that? Just this huff and rolling your eyes? I mean, my 7-year-old does that, and I tell her not to because it's disrespectful. But I also noticed how she didn't deny it. She didn't say that no, sexualizing children is not what pedophiles do, nor did she say that Democrats are not sexualizing children. And her body language indicates strongly that she knows that she can't deny it. She also didn't want to dig any deeper when Marjorie Taylor Greene provided a couple of very brief examples of how the things that she's saying are true, because she knew that if she dug deeper, she would have to come up with reasons to the contrary, reasons to dispute what she's saying, and she can't provide that because she knows that this is something that's happening. And the thing is, when we say that the left are child predators and that they're grooming kids and that they're pedophiles, we actually do have the goods to back up these claims. So maybe we should dig into that just a little bit. Let's start with the nomination and election of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court, a judge that has a long record of soft on crime policies, soft on crime rulings, specifically when it comes to cases involving child pornography and child predators. In 2019, Jackson ruled over a case where a man amassed over 6,500 files of child porn, including elementary age kids who were engaged in sex acts and sadomasochistic behaviors with grown adults. Jackson did everything she could to apply the lowest sentence possible, including striking as many files as possible from being admissible in court, which would then lower the number of months that this person could be sentenced. And then she did issue as little time in prison as legally possible. In 2013, she oversaw a case where an 18-year-old man had downloaded and distributed child pornography depicting sex acts between young kids and adults, and Ketanji Brown Jackson lowered his sentence from the recommended 18 months to 2 years to just 3 months. And after this person was released, they reoffended again. She never did address the families of the victims of this child predator, but she did address the family of the pedophile, letting them know that she was sorry that they had this loved one that was being convicted of a crime when clearly he was just fascinated with provocative images of his peers. And this isn't something that she just did a couple of times. She has a long record of issuing far below the state recommended sentences to people that offend in this way, and then sympathizing with the families of the predators. This is something that she has consistently done throughout her career, and yet she still ended up on our Supreme Court. And anytime that we brought up these points that were on her judicial record, we were called racist. And then there was a recent Senate hearing where AOC went on this tirade about the books that are being pulled from elementary, middle, and high schools, of course, spreading the misinformation that this is just like the book bans and the book burnings of the 1930s, which is just absolute nonsense. Her tirade, her usual song and dance and flailing of arms was around this book called I Am Rosa Parks, and apparently this has been banned from certain schools.
Before they claim that this is not about banning books and not about harming the LGBT community, let's just look at the impacts of similar Republican legislation that has already passed on the state level. Look at these books that have already been banned due to Republican measures. The Life of Rosa Parks. This apparently is too woke by the Republican Party. Song of Solomon is unacceptable to Republican politics. 40% of banned books have reported are significantly addressing and specifically addressing LGBT issues.
Seen this going around Twitter a lot, why this particular book, I Am Rosa Parks, is not available in several school districts right now. And I haven't been able to find a lot of information on it, but I guess where it seems to have started is with the school district in Central York, Pennsylvania, where they created vet lists of books that they wanted to review before being made available to students again. So they were temporarily unavailable until they could be reviewed by the school board or by parents to make sure that they actually further academics and education, as opposed to what the left wants to do is further their political ideology and their activism. While there are certain school districts that do offer this specific book, I Am Rosa Parks, every school district that I could find, from Oregon to Florida to Texas to Utah to New York. I've looked at several. In all of them, whether it be elementary school, middle school, high school, you can find a dozen books on Rosa Parks and on Martin Luther King and on numerous Black people throughout history. So what they're doing is being completely dishonest about what is happening here. They're saying that we're banning books about, diverse political and historical figures in America, when really they're conveniently leaving out the fact that what we're doing is pulling books that librarians and teacher activists have been quietly slipping to students, like Genderqueer, Lawn Boy, and Beyond Magenta, that have very sexually explicit material in them, like pictures of teenagers performing sex acts on each other and descriptions of children performing sex acts on each other. So they want to use this I Am Rosa Parks example to remove these book bans so they can continue to slide this explicit material to students without their parents knowing. And you know who tries to provide sexually explicit content to children without their parents knowing and trying to hide it from their parents? There's a word for it. Can't think of what it is. So do we need more examples of Marjorie Taylor Greene's claim that is actually true? Because we can go on. Okay, that's a lot. We could talk about the fact that Ashley Biden's diary was verified and legitimized, and the fact that she wrote in it saying how uncomfortable she was that her dad, Joe, took showers with her. The Biden administration also recently hosted drag queens at the White House, and we have seen this relentless effort in numerous communities across the country where the left is trying to normalize sexually graphic interactions between drag queens and kids. The Democrats continue to hire and praise grown men who have fetishes for dressing up like women and wearing makeup. Again, something that they are trying to normalize in every community, in every aspect of everyday life, and particularly where our kids are concerned.
Oneself isn't necessarily hindered, but is rather celebrated. I'm a gender fluid individual who walks the halls of Congress. Talk about the power of being free every day to hear my stilettos click on those marble floors.
I am Admiral Rachel Levine, the Assistant Secretary for Health at the Department of Health and Human Services.
How can Democratic leaders be more effective in advocating for us trans people and our families and our lives and our opportunities?
Not to mention, they continue to bolster transgenderism at every possible turn, every time that they possibly can slip it into the conversation. And this is an ideology that was literally created and developed by pedophiles. We could talk about the numerous pieces of legislation that we have had to pass in different states to protect children from teachers who want to talk to them about their sexuality without their parents knowing. Leftist teachers showing up to protest bills that give parents the right to know what their kids are learning so that they cannot put sexually explicit materials in front of their students without the parents being aware. And then there are the things that are happening in numerous schools across the country where kids are provided closets where they can show up to school and cross-dress into the opposite sex. They can be provided chest binders or something called trans tape, which I didn't know until yesterday was a thing that existed, but functions much in the same way that chest binders do, where you can tape down your breasts, but can also be used to tape down your penis or even ball it up to make a fake penis in the pants of a young girl who wants to identify as a male, again, without parents knowing. And then there's the constant just flat out lying about what these pieces of legislation are meant to do. The left labels these bills as anti-LGBTQ instead of calling them what they really are, which is protecting kids against predators or people that would interact with them inappropriately in the classroom, again, without their parents knowing. Let's not forget about the Don't Say Gay bill, which is actually a parental rights bill, in saying that teachers cannot have sexual discussions or discussions about sexuality with kids that are third grade and lower. So we're talking about kids that are like 8 years old and younger. And they protested this bill because they want to be able to allow teachers to have these conversations with little kids. But they have to lie about these bills so that they can keep those barriers from happening, so that they can remove those protections for kids and be able to put whatever materials that they want to put in front of kids, that they can have any kind of discussion that they want to have with your kids and leave the parents out of it. These are bills that are meant to make sure that their parents are involved in their children's education, in their mental health issues, and to protect kids from surgically destroying their own sexual anatomy, when 99% of the time struggling with something that is completely not gender related. But the strongest indicators of being someone who wants to sexualize and prey on children are wanting to hide things from parents, wanting to lie about what it is that they're doing, and wanting to keep people that can protect kids out of the conversation. So you tell me, Leslie Stahl, where exactly is Marjorie Taylor Greene's statement wrong? When it comes right down to it, Leslie Stahl wasn't offended by calling the left pedophiles and groomers. She just didn't appreciate a Republican with a spine calling them out for it and being able to back up the things that they were saying. They want to be able to hide the sexualization of kids. They want to be able to hide behind this shield of anti-LGBTQ talking points so that they can continue to harm children in this way while using and abusing people who are mentally struggling to be their human shields and to bully people into silence and keep them from pointing this stuff out. So anyway, like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below and share it with others. I also want to clarify, this is not necessarily a pro Marjorie Taylor Greene video. I know there's a lot of people that really like her, a lot of people that don't like her. I'm kind of in the middle. I like some of the things she says and does, and I don't like some of the things that she says and does. But I do appreciate her boldness and just pointing it out for what it is. And notice the fact that the Democrats are not offended by the fact that this is true. They're not offended by the fact that they are sexualizing children, because they know that they are. They just don't want it pointed out just yet, because they know that there is still a vast majority in the population that are deeply opposed to this kind of thing. But make no mistake, we are on the path to, sexual interactions between children and adults being normalized, and the more we see of this, the more we can recognize that this is the path that they are leading us down. So we've just got to call it out for what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I post one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.